Om Namah Shivaya. If you brought a copy of Ribhu Gita with you this evening, we'll be starting with the first verse of chapter 4. The title of the chapter is Swabmandarupanam, the definition of oneself. Ribhu said, I shall tell you that which is most wondrous, that which is the rarest in all the worlds. It is the quintessence of the Vedas and other scriptures. Rare, rare, indeed, ever. He's about to instruct Nadaga as to the definition, that is, the truth of oneself, what truly is yourself. And the entire chapter should be taken as an inquiry, as a profound meditation on the nature of that which is truly yourself. He says he will tell you that which is most wondrous. Most wondrous because it is mind transcendent, beyond the domain of perception and conception. Most wondrous because finding this, one experiences bliss that is unconditioned and unending. Indeed, one finds bliss to be identical with one's being, if one knows truly the definition of oneself. It is most wondrous because it is the revelation of reality, in which the reality or pure existence comprehends itself. It is most wondrous because it is the self-luminous self-revelation of consciousness, devoid of the supposition of an objective I or this. So I shall tell you that which is most wondrous, that which is rarest in all the worlds. The pure non-dual truth is said to be rare, the rarest of all. That is, where can one find instruction as to the nature of one's own self, the revelation of the absolute reality, free of the least superimposition, untouched by any imagined dualism? Where can one find this? Having the grace and the instruction of Sri Bhagavan, we may think it's commonplace, but it is extremely rare. It is rare in another sense, and this is why he says at the end of the verse, rare, rare indeed ever. The truth is rare because it is solitary. There is nothing like it in this illusory world. And in itself, it is one without a second. What could be rarer than that? It is the quintessence of the Vedas and other scriptures. The highest and final purpose, the true purpose of the Veda, is the revelation of the truth of the self. It is the revelation of true knowledge. The same holds true in terms of the other shastras or scriptures. The purpose of them is that you should know yourself. When everything is said and listened to, reflected upon and meditated upon. The quintessence is self-knowledge. Without this essential knowledge, all the scriptures become just a pile of words. Without this essential knowledge, all the contemplations and meditations become just a pile of thoughts. With this knowledge, the essence of meditation, the meaning of the scripture, become abundantly clear. Self-knowledge is the essence. One undivided essence. Verse 2. Ribhu says, mantra is one undivided essence. Its result is one undivided essence. The individual soul is one undivided essence. Religious rite is one undivided essence. There are said to be numberless mantras, and for each there is said to be a result. The essence of them all, the source of them all, the substance in them all, is, as he says, one undivided essence. The nature of this one undivided essence is ineffable, inconceivable, but realized blissfully as pure, indivisible being consciousness, which is one's own self. The individual soul is one undivided essence. That means there's not a multiplicity of individuals or individual souls if they're all one undivided essence. Consider your own existence, even if it appears as if individualized, though in truth it is the non-ego self. Consider your own existence, apparently individualized, and inquire deeply, just as the Maharshi has instructed, as to who am I? Even starting with this individualized existence or jiva, its jivahood or individuality being unreal, will vanish upon such inquiry, leaving only one undivided essence. The real nature of the individual is this undivided essential being, this undivided essential consciousness. If you can perceive with profound, deep, continuous knowledge that your own existence, previously thought to be individualized, is actually the one indivisible essential existence, then everything is only that. For as the individual is viewed, how I is viewed, so is everything else viewed. Ribhu says, the individual is one undivided essence. What is this essence? Find it out within yourself. Inquire within and look for that which is absolutely one, not dual, that has no opposite. Look for that which is undivided, the partless, which must necessarily be formless. If you have found that, you have found all. For everything is only this one undivided essence. Religious rite is one undivided essence. When a rite is performed, religious rite, what is its purpose? What is its substance? What is the power in it, both as cause and result? All of that is just one undivided essence. And that essence is you. Verse 3. Earth is one undivided essence. Water is one undivided essence. Scent is one undivided essence. The sky is one undivided essence. In this verse, he has given a hint. The reader or the listener takes it from there. Earth, water, air, space. All of this, all that is considered matter, all that is considered elemental, is one undivided essence. If we look through the senses, it is difficult to perceive how this is so. If we perceive in true knowledge, what Ribhu says is self-evident. From the misidentified position of I am the body, and the senses tell me what is, how all this could be one undivided essence is, as just said, rather difficult to perceive. Abandoning the misidentification with the body, what then is all this? No longer regarding the senses as the determinants of reality. What then is all this? One existence is perceived as all these elements, matter, etc., and the other things he's mentioned in the previous verses, and what he will mention in the succeeding verses. One essential existence is perceived, or we could say misperceived, as all these things. If we perceive truly from the position not of a body or a dividing mind, but from the position of knowledge itself, that is to say, pure consciousness, then everything is only one undivided existence or essence. And that existence is ourself.
Just watching my meditation, as you spoke about things that were divided, that's pretty easy to understand what name and form was. But then when you said the undivided, what I first started to do was just to think of that as a special kind of object. It's the undivided object, which is not looking very deep because it's just, it again is another object, but I'm saying it's kind of special. So then I started to go a little bit further, and it's like, well, wait a minute, there's something that can see both of those. And is that part undivided? And the way I kind of went at that was, in that experience of, the only thing I know that's undivided is existence. And I wouldn't know how to make a division in existence. Because if you put an object into the existence, it doesn't do anything to it. It doesn't divide it, it doesn't alter it.
Either no object is ever created, or the object is only existence without there being even the least tinge of anything else. In which case, is there an object? That's why he says one undivided essence. So that one passes from the objective outlook to non-objective wisdom.
Well, when you started to talk about the body, then if I don't have any identity with the body, then the whole notions of objects gets very illusory.
Yes, if you are not the body, what then is the earth, the water, scent, meaning all fragrances, the sky? These he states just as examples. What are they if you are not the body?
Well, if the senses tell me nothing about myself, then they really don't tell me anything about some supposed world. They're not, they're imagined to be meaningful, but they're not, they don't tell you anything.
But then what is actually there? He keeps saying one undivided essence. There is no forsaking existence, but existence is not to be misconstrued as being different things.
Well, if I keep meditating on that, the existence becomes the foreground, and the name and form really is just more existence.
That's it. If the name and the form, however manifested or apparent, are only the one essential existence, and there's nothing added to that existence, for how could we add something to existence itself?
It would always have to be some idea of a form, but that's not existence. That's some imagined thing. You can't.
The only existence in the form would be just the same formless existence, which can never be modified into any form.
It's great. The more you meditate on it, the more the form
and that existence, which is undivided, not having the least trace of another or an alternative to it, that existence is the true definition of oneself, Swatmanrupanam. You must first suppose, just through imagined assumption, that there is some distinction, however slight or gross, between that existence and your self, so-called, in order to conceive of anything else. Hence Sri Ramana's instruction, with the rise of I, all else rises. With the subsidence of I, all else subsides. But if you are just the one undivided essential existence, what can we say of anything else? Scriptures are one undivided essence. The Vedas are one undivided essence. Brahman is one undivided essence. Religious vows are one undivided essence. The scriptures, the Shastras, the Shruti, the Vedas are one undivided essence. What is the knowledge expounded in them? The scriptures are, from the external viewpoint, a collection of sayings, statements, and descriptions. What are they attempting to describe? What vital knowledge are they intended to impart? That knowledge is the one undivided essence. And what it is a knowledge of is the one undivided essence. The knowledge of being consciousness by being consciousness, in which the being consciousness itself is the knowledge. In that knowledge, seen by that knowledge, there is nothing else existing anywhere. The very form of the scriptures that imparted the knowledge transcendent of their form are themselves that same formless existence consciousness. Do you comprehend? Brahman is one undivided essence. If we say truly, Brahman is, just the first part of the sentence, that precludes the notion of anything else existing whatsoever. If we say Brahman is one undivided essence, That means that there is no other, no alternative, not you or this world, or anything else. But Brahman is, and Brahman is one. It is also undivided. So it does not undergo states or stages or conditions of manifested and unmanifested, and so forth and so on. Just Brahman is, as it is, always one and undivided. It is the essence. That is, it is the only existence everywhere, in all. If we realize this as the non-dual truth, we know the definition of ourself. Brahman is one undivided essence. Religious vows are one undivided essence. When you make or take a religious vow, what is the power in it? From where does that derive? Moreover, what is the ultimate purpose of it? Ultimately, some divine peace or bliss is its purpose, whether that is stated directly or indirectly in the vow. If the vow is for liberation, it is direct. If the vow is for anything else, it is indirect. But what ultimately is the purpose of that vow? The sincerity of purpose, the earnestness in which it is made, in which it is pursued or fulfilled, derives its power from where? All of that is of this one undivided essence, which is truly ourself. Verse 5. Vishnu is one undivided essence. Shiva is one undivided essence. Brahma is one undivided essence. The gods are one undivided essence. However God is prayed to or worshipped, there is one indivisible essence. Seen as multiple, they are all still one indivisible essential being. The powers that create, sustain or pervade, and dissolve or destroy are all of a divine nature, and that nature is indivisible, not divided into parts. We see creating in our experience we see sustained or continued existence, and we see dissolution. All this occurs on a universal scale, from the smallest thing to the very largest. The power that appears as all that, the existence that appears as all of that, is this one undivided essence. The one undivided essence itself cannot be defined in terms of being created, sustained, or destroyed. It is beyond all that. That which is the only existence in creation, sustenance, and dissolution, and that which is transcendent of creation, sustenance, and dissolution, is truly yourself, that one undivided existence.
When you say that is your nature, is the one undivided existence, you had earlier, I think, asked you, do you comprehend that? And there were some fleeting doubts, like, could that really be me? But I started to look at, okay, what is the source of that? What is that doubt actually coming from, or who's got it? And it's not the existence. It's some idea of something that's separate from the existence.
Something other than the one, something divided from the undivided, something non-essential.
Something non-existent. Something imagined. And that imagination is what it's, if I've got any doubt or I've got any unclarity or a lack of comprehension, that's what it's, that's the source of it. That's where it starts. Or
Have you seen the source of that imagination?
no, that's imagined too.
Yes. So then how does imagination imagine itself?
Well, I got to ask the question, does it? It's almost like asking, is imagination real at all? Is there any, or ask myself, can I find anything real in imagination? Does it come from something real? I'm not quite sure what I'm talking about at this point, because it seems to be a bit bogus. The whole notion that there is something existing that's not real. Maybe that sounds actually kind of funny. My words don't make sense in a normal sense, I think. But I find that if I just keep asking right at that point where you're at, what's the source of where this imagination is coming from? It destroys the idea that there is imagination.
The imagination and the assumed individual are one and the same thing. There is no imagination in reality. The nature of the jiva, he said, was one undivided essence, which you can comprehend or understand as the non-dual existence. That means there's really no jiva at all. Just the single undivided existence. There is then no such thing as imagination. But what was imagined as the imagination was the one undivided existence.
Then there was never any imagination if you go that way with it. If I follow what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Where was the imagination ever?
This inquiry applied to the nature of one's own existence puts an end to ignorance, hence the permanence of liberation, because of its ever-existent nature. Just Brahman, just the self. Nothing else at any time. In the present verse, he has taken this up on a universal or cosmic basis. All of creation, sustenance, and destruction, viewed rightly so in terms of being the power and substance of the divine. Yet for all of that, with all its time, space, etc., there is just one undivided existence.
So the question, do I comprehend? There isn't anybody who wouldn't.
The realized one is the ever-existent reality itself. The unrealized one simply never exists. Verse 6. All is one undivided essence. Oneself is one undivided essence. The self also is one undivided essence. The Guru is one undivided essence. All is one undivided essence. Oneself is one undivided essence. There is just this one existence. And there is nothing to be called all apart from it. If you consider it as this, that is the objective sphere in your experience, you should inquire and come to know the one essential existence that alone composes all of this, gross and subtle, from objects to thoughts. That same undivided essence or existence is yourself, I. There are then no such things in truth as I and this, the subject and object in your experience. There is just one undivided essence, the nature of which is existence or unalloyed consciousness. This very consciousness or being is the self, the only real self there is. Search yourself, the one self in his statement, and you will find in reality only the self exists. As for the Guru, he who abides as the self reveals through perfect knowledge that very self and eliminates the false distinction between the self and oneself, and in the course of doing so, the distinction between oneself and all. Who is that Guru? Ribhu says, that one undivided essence. So then he who reveals that which is revealed, the one to whom it is revealed, are all one and the same thing. This state of absolute identity is the real nature or real definition of oneself. It is the self-evident fact for all those who, devoted to the truth and to the Guru, absorb the instruction, absorb themselves in it, the truth of it, and find that which truly exists, which Ribhu has been describing in this chapter as the one undivided essence. Whatever can be spoken of is one undivided essence. Light is one undivided essence. The body is one undivided essence. Mind is one undivided essence. If we speak of spiritual matters, what we are actually speaking about in various ways, all the permutations of speech and its descriptions, is something that is absolutely one and undivided, this essential existence. If we speak of secular matters, the only existence in all that is the same undivided essence. Whatever you speak about, whatever you think about, it is really different descriptions of one undivided existence, which in truth is beyond thought and beyond description. In spiritual instruction, we are speaking about the ineffable, attempting to describe the indescribable. The scriptures say, where words and thought turn back, unable to grasp, there is my abode. And all the descriptions in spiritual literature are about that very thing. The body is one undivided essence. The mind is one undivided essence. How are we to understand this? Well, we can inquire and determine by what do we know the body and the mind. Do you have any experience of the body or the mind apart from the knowledge of them? If not, then we cease to consider the body and mind as having an existence apart from the knowledge that knows them. They have then only an apparent dependent existence. Yet that which is not self-existent, but has only an apparent dependent existence, really has no existence at all, but something else is seen as that. Something else is conceived as that. What is it that appears as your mind? Within your mind appears the body. What is it that appears as the body? If we think matter appears as the body, he already addressed that in a previous verse. What is it that appears as all the elements? Trace your way inward. You know about all the matter, the elements, the world, by the body, specifically the senses. You know about the body and all the sensations in the mind, by the mind. By what light do you know the mind? If you realize that, you'll understand why Ribhu says, even the body and the mind are the one undivided essence.
Just to describe my experience and see if it's accurate. I think you posed a question, what is it that knows of the mind and the body? Well, as I meditated on that, I think you asked another question about, is it known or does it exist beyond the knowledge of it? So what that made me question was, is the knowledge of that thing, is that the same thing as the thing? Because it looks like when I know about something, I really don't know about the thing. The part that I know, or that actually exists in it, is the same thing as the knowing of it.
That was the point of the question, that's right.
So if I just keep with it, all there is...
So there's no it part of the experience.
It's not a two-part thing. It's really, if I look closely, what I'm calling the it, the only thing that there is to the it is the knowing of it. And the knowing of it, what I actually know of, is knowledge itself. It's not a thing that I actually know.
All right, and then go further. Is there any knowing apart from the knower?
Well, then I've got a question, what is knowing itself? Is that a separate thing? Does that have some division from the knower? And they're not two, the essence of them are both the same.
They are then not two things.
They're not things.
So has there ever been the experience of any knowing apart from the knower? Experience of knowledge apart from the consciousness. For the knower is not to be defined in terms of anything known.
Well, then that leads to that the only thing you know is, the only real knowledge is self-knowledge. There is no knowledge of things.
And consciousness alone knows itself, the triad of knower, knowing, and known, not really subsisting in it. Then if there is only this consciousness alone, which is the one undivided essence, no wonder he says the world, the body, the mind are just one undivided essence. Listen from here, understand from here. And what Ribhu is describing is self-evident. Verse 8. Thought is one undivided essence. Joy is one undivided essence. Knowledge is one undivided essence. The changeless is one undivided essence. The first phrase is thought is one undivided essence. The characteristic of thought, the chief characteristic of thought, is its multiplicity. So how is it that Ribhu says thought is actually one undivided essence? What is the substance of your thoughts? The content of them, the form of thought, is easily observed, but what is the substance? Apart from the substance, the thought form itself has no existence. Just like a ring has no existence apart from the gold of which it is made. What is the substance in your thought? The substance is the same as that which knows them. Thoughts obviously don't know themselves. One thought does not know another thought. Thought is not self-luminous. It doesn't know itself. What knows? Thoughts are said to be like waves in an ocean. They are made up of all the same substance, the water in the analogy. Your own consciousness is that water. Yet in the ocean there is some other force, some other activity that creates the waves. There's no such thing as that in consciousness. There's nothing outside it to act upon it. And being one undivided essence, it is homogeneous, without parts that one should act upon another. So then, what has been mistakenly referred to as your thoughts the idea that thoughts exist is just another thought. What actually is the substance, the essence, that is referred to as thought? If you know this, and by a profound inquiry, identify yourself with this one undivided essence, then being utterly free from thought, for thought has no existence, in what way would you be bound? In what way could you be bound?
When you started the question, what is thought? I see that I have an assumption that differentiation equals existence. So that, and the way I came to that is, as I was listening, I actually assumed that thoughts were something that actually exists. And when I went a little further with it, I started to question, is everything that I differentiate, that there's an assumption in it that causes something, that's not quite it, but there is an assumption with every form observed that actually is what makes things exist, like describing the world and giving everything name and form, that makes it exist.
But existence is there before, during, and after that mental process.
So it has nothing to do with it.
Before a thought arises, there is existence, and it is self-known and self-existent. That is yourself. When a thought appears, it does not declare its own appearance. It doesn't say, I rise up, I am, I exist. You say that it does. The known rests in the knowing rests in the knower. The nature of that knower is the indivisible or undifferentiated existence. After the thought subsides, the same sense of reality prevails, undiminished even in the least. It is the same existence throughout. Countless thoughts could rise and set, and the real existence would be utterly untransformed, unmoved, undiminished. And it is from that existence that is derived, through imagination only, the sense of reality in each of those thoughts, in each thing experienced. If we trace the sense of reality, if we trace the sense of identity, we are led to that one undivided, undifferentiated being consciousness bliss. Reality is always differenceless. Differences are only imagined. And do not exist apart from that one self, that one existence. What is said of consciousness or existence also applies to bliss, referred to as joy in the verse we were just reading. But we'll take up more about that next time.